A major turning point in the fight against the pandemic. Britain clears a COVID-19 vaccine developed by AstraZeneca and Oxford University. This vaccine is affordable and easy to store as it only needs normal refrigeration. Serum Institute and Bharat Biotech's vaccines not recommended for approval by the expert panel today, but sources say the panel has sought more information from the company. Serum's founder Cyrus Poonawalla says they are in touch with the Indian government officials, but no purchase agreement has been signed so far. Private hospital chains express willingness to work with the government on the COVID-19 vaccine rollout. Max Healthcare, Narayana Health and Manipal hospitals tell CNBC-TV18 they've been asked by authorities to share data on healthcare workers, but add there hasn't been any other discussion on their participation in the vaccination program so far. After 6 people tested positive for the UK strain of the coronavirus on Tuesday, 14 more tests positive, taking the total to 20. India extends the suspension of UK flights by a week to the 7th of January. Government extends the timeline for filing tax returns to the 10th of January. The deadline for the direct tax amnesty scheme Vivad Se Vishwas has also been extended to the end of January. The government decides to roll back provisions on stubble burning and draft electricity law. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh calls farmers the backbone of the economy, says they shouldn't be called Naxals or Khalistanis. Reliance Jio writes a letter to the Chief Minister of Punjab seeking action against alleged incidents of sabotage and vandalism, says over 1,500 towers have been damaged. Punjab's Finance Minister Manpreet Badal says cannot afford or tolerate vandalism of telecom infrastructure. Also on the show, Maharashtra government has handed massive cuts to its license fee to help restaurants stay afloat, but even that may not help as 30% of restaurants plan to down their shutters. A special report coming up. Good evening. Thanks very much for joining us on India Business Hour. I'm Shireen Bhan. It is a big day in the battle against COVID-19. The UK has approved the use of the Oxford AstraZeneca Covishield vaccine, and it plans a rollout from the 4th of January. Now, the British health regulator has given its nod for the regimen with 2 full doses. If you remember, the first analysis of the trial data had shown that efficacy of the vaccine was at 62% when people were injected with 2 full doses, and it showed 90% efficacy when people were first administered half a dose and then a full dose. The British regulator has approved 2 full doses with an interval of 4 to 12 weeks, and the approved regimen is expected to have better efficacy than the initial results with a longer gap. This also helps in vaccinating more people. The Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine is the second vaccine approved by the British government. It is likely to allow the UK to significantly ramp up its inoculation program, as this vaccine is far cheaper than Pfizer-BioNTech's vaccine. It does not need to be kept at ultra-low temperatures. Now, these are the advantages due to which several developing and developed nations like India have also pinned their hopes on it. Sanjay Suri joins us now from London with more on the approval for the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine and what it means in the fight against COVID-19. So after Pfizer, BioNTech's vaccine, Sanjay, this is the big one, not just for the UK, but for countries like India as well.
This is the biggest hope we've had yet of a counter to the virus that is at speed and on scale. Britain has prepared an army of about 10,000 people to start vaccinating people almost immediately, and this will be done all over the place at sports stadiums, in race courses, public buildings, and of course through GP practices. All this is possible because this vaccine is easy to store and convenient to administer. It can be taken to people. It does not require people to come to a special facility. The aim is to inoculate about 1 million people a week, and given that scale and that speed, you can have a very substantial part of the population covered over the next few weeks, certainly over the next couple of months. For India, this is particularly meaningful given the size of the population and the fact that SII has already produced masses of this vaccine. So it's a question now of rollout in India and how effective and how efficient that can be. There is a change in the dosage. It will now be given in 2 doses 3 months apart rather than 1 month apart as planned earlier, and this is because the vaccine is considered to be a little more effective when there is more time between dosages. Also, it will speed up the process of inoculation because even the first dose is said to give substantial protection. So given this speed and given this rollout and given the amended dosage, you're going to protect a lot of people very soon.
All right, Sanjay Suri, many thanks for joining us from London. That is the latest, the UK regulator approving the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine. Now, while UK has given the nod, Indian government's nod for the vaccine may take a little bit longer. The expert panel on the vaccine is believed to have sought more information from Serum Institute, which is the India partner, and has submitted an application for the vaccine dubbed Covishield in India. Timsy joins us now with more. Timsy, right after the UK approval came in, there was a meeting called off the panel to examine whether emergency use authorization should be recommended or not. We're given to understand that more data has been sought, but perhaps an approval is very imminent.
Well, as you rightly said, yes, it is imminent, but as of today, when we talk of what happened in today's meeting, the SEC meet has concluded a few hours back. Rather, almost, it's been a few minutes only, almost an hour. And now they have not recommended EUA today for Serum and Bharat Biotech both. They've sought more information. Applications of both Bharat Biotech and Serum Institute were not considered for EUA today. I again repeat, it was not considered today. But SEC has sought additional information from both. When it comes to information sought from Serum, well-updated fact sheets, prescribing information and additional information. When it comes to Bharat Biotech, more data has been sought. Let's see how soon both the companies get back to the government. If possible, Serum and Bharat Biotech, there are cases where government has considered it the very next day as well. So it could be tomorrow, right. It could be as soon as companies get back to the SEC. SEC can call a meeting and then reconsider their application for emergency use authorization.
All right, Timsy, many thanks for joining us. We also spoke with Cyrus Poonawalla, the chairman of Serum Institute, the manufacturer of the Oxford vaccine in India, about their preparedness. He expects a regulatory nod to come in shortly. He also added that the company is ready with 70 million doses, but that the Indian government is yet to place any orders for procurement. Take a look.
Well, we have been very much in touch with the Drug Control of India and the other powers that be. And they've assured us that they will maybe by the end of this week or next week for sure license us. The licensing of the vaccine made by Serum Institute of India should be far away, maybe a few days from today. And we've got 70 million doses now ready and licensed, tested the National Control Laboratory, ready for release whenever the drug controller gives us the necessary official approval. My main problem is the Health Ministry has still not given us a firm order or commitment to buy not even 10 or 20 million doses as of now. So the first question I ask is, when is that order going to be placed and what will be the states or cities that they would like us to deliver the vaccine? But I don't think it's out of the reach of the Health Ministry and the Government of India. They haven't given us a firm commitment, so I don't want to go on air and make a commitment which is not in our hands.
Well, that's Cyrus Poonawalla, the chairman of Serum Institute, saying that they are ready, 70 million doses manufactured at risk by Serum. But so far, there is no agreement with the government on how much the government would like to procure from them. But let's talk about the other aspects of the vaccine, including the cost and storage requirements that play a key role in the vaccination drive. Now, the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine works better for India, given it is affordable and also easy to store. Archana joins us now with a detailed comparison of the top vaccines. Archana, both from an affordability point of view as well as a storage and a distribution perspective, the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine clearly has the edge over others for countries like ours.
Absolutely, and on multiple fronts, like you pointed out. Even with a 70% efficacy in comparison to the Pfizer and Moderna's approved vaccines that have near 95% efficacy, the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine is still more significant for countries like India. Now, for one, efficacy is still good at 70%, much higher than the regulatory requirements. Another interesting element is the MHRA approval is for the dosing regime of 2 doses at an interval between 4 weeks and 12 weeks that AstraZeneca has said believes will be highly effective against the disease. AstraZeneca has also said that the vaccine has been proved 100% successful in preventing severe disease as well. Now, MHRA's approval, however, is indicative that the UK is taking a public health approach to getting the population vaccinated. So, prioritizing distribution of first dose and delaying dose 2 up to 12 weeks. This means more people can be reached within the initial batches of the vaccine, and the coverage can be expanded faster. Now, while more data and studies on vaccine efficacy 12 weeks post first dose is needed, and it is not clear if the Indian regulator is currently reviewing this aspect, but a delayed second dose, if approved, works best for developing world where the initial vaccine supplies would be slow. Now, on cold chain, unlike the Moderna and Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine that needs specialized cold chain and thermal shippers to store and transport the vaccine at -20 and -70 degrees like for Pfizer, Oxford AstraZeneca candidate can be stored and transported at closer to normal refrigeration temperatures. Now, this is suitable for the existing cold chain infrastructure in India, especially in the rural belt. Now, from cost of procurement perspective as well, this is going to be a key discussion for such a large-scale vaccination program. A $3 price for government contract makes AstraZeneca's vaccine much more affordable for low-income and developing countries. Serum Institute has indicated that price in private market in India will not go above $10 per dose as well. You know, if you compare it with the Pfizer and Moderna, both of which are more than $20 per dose, this certainly is much more affordable. Now, the vaccine is suitable also from the quick procurement perspective. Serum Institute has already manufactured 40 to 50 million dosage of vaccine at risk, ready for rollout, and it plans to supply about 300 million doses by July. So, while initial supplies may be slow, but it will pick up pace by February and March. Indian supplies for India, and then for the initial supplies will be for India and eventually for the COVAX countries. Now, remember, Pfizer and Moderna are also both part of the COVAX facility, where India is a beneficiary recipient. However, no formal commitment has been made so far by Pfizer or Moderna. So, from multiple perspectives, Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine, the Covishield, which is being trialed in India and is awaiting quick approval from the regulator, is much sought after.
Yeah. Yes, it certainly is. And we still are awaiting more clarity on Bharat Biotech's vaccine. Remember, that vaccine candidate is the indigenous vaccine candidate. And of course, we will wait to hear more from the company as well as the government and the regulator on clearing that one as well. Now, private hospital chains are ready to work with the government as it prepares to embark on a vaccination drive. Max Healthcare, Narayana Health and Manipal Hospitals have told CNBC-TV18 that while state governments have asked them to share data on their own healthcare workers, they also added that there hasn't been any further discussion on their participation in the vaccination program. Take a look.
All the states, which is 6 that where we are present, the state governments have taken data, comprehensive data with respect to all healthcare workers, you know, the age and so on and so forth, the statistics, and we provided it. We have been training, we've been going through internal protocols, because when the time comes, how do we kind of rise to the occasion? And I think there will be several thousand people that we can put out actually.
The government has approached us and we've given them the list of all the healthcare workers. What can the private sector do? Literally anything. If they want us to give up our facilities for using it as storage facilities, we would do that. If they want us to send our doctors into rural villages to do inoculation, we would do that. We're here to help, but we haven't been approached. And so in the end, it's just a question of the government deciding what it is that they really want.
They have sort of entered into a dialogue with us to find out how many vaccinators we would be able to provide, whether we would be able to do it in different facilities. And obviously, the private sector is quite large, provides most of the healthcare in this country. And I do believe that this should be a public-private partnership. Otherwise, it would be impossible to vaccinate 1.4 billion people.
And you can catch that entire conversation with those running India's top listed hospital chains at 10 p.m. right here on CNBC-TV18. 14 more people in India have tested positive for the new COVID-19 strain, taking the total number of infected to 20. Of these, 7 cases are from Karnataka and 4 are from Delhi. Other cases have been found in Tamil Nadu, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh and West Bengal. The government has decided to extend the suspension of flights to and from the UK to the 7th of January. Aviation Minister Hardeep Singh Puri tweets that resumption of flights will be strictly regulated and details regarding the same will be announced shortly. One person in the US has tested positive for the new strain of the COVID-19 virus. Despite not having any recent travel history, the case has triggered questions about how the strain has showed up in a remote rural area of the country. And back home, active COVID cases continue to decline for the 33rd straight day, falling by over 6,300 in the 24-hour period. Recoveries continue to remain higher than new cases, even as testing has increased sharply versus yesterday, closing at 11.2 lakh tests. Well, here's the other big story tonight. The 6th round of meetings between farmer leaders and the government now concluded. The next meeting is scheduled for the 4th of January. Agriculture Minister Narendra Tomar says today's talks concluded on a positive note and that the two sides have reached a consensus on 2 out of 4 issues. Listen in.
एजेंडे में 4 पॉइंट थे, 4 में से 2 यानी 50% रजाबंदी आज की बैठक में हो गई है और ये बहुत ही सुखद वातावरण में संपन्न हुई और इससे दोनों पक्ष में एक अच्छे प्रकार के माहौल का निर्माण हुआ।
हाँ, आज जी मीटिंग है बहुत अच्छे माहौल में हुई है। आज 4 इशू पर बात हुई थी। पहली बात इशू था जो तीनों कानून हैं उसको रद्द करने की बात थी। उस पर सरकार ने कहा कि हम और विचार करेंगे। उसके बाद और दूसरा इशू था MSP का, सरकार ने उसमें भी कहा कि हम इस पर भी बात करेंगे। तीसरा इशू था जो बिजली बिल है 2020, तो उसमें सरकार ने कह दिया को जो जैसे पहले चलता था वैसे ही चलेगा, उन्होंने अपना बिल वापस ले लिया।
अगला स्टेप क्या है? अब क्या
और दूसरा चौथा पॉइंट था वो था प्रदूषण वाला, जो पराली वाला था, वो सरकार ने वापस कर दिया कि किसान उसमें से निकाल दिया गया। किसानों को जो सजा का जो जुर्माने का प्रावधान था वो खत्म कर दिया, किसान उससे निकाल दिए गए। बाकी 2 मुद्दों पे 4 तारीख को अगले 2 बजे मीटिंग फिर रखी गई है। उस पर विचार मीटिंग करेगी सरकार। प्रधान तो बाद जो रहेगा वो का अगला फैसला होएगा।
इस टाइम पे सर ये तब तक क्या प्रोटेस्ट कम होगा?
बिल्कुल नहीं, वैसे ही चलेगा प्रोटेस्ट, वैसे ही जारी रहेगा।
So the protest will continue, but what has been decided in today's meeting is that out of the 4 issues, the crucial ones, that is on the issue of repealing the laws as well as MSP, no decision yet. That matter will be taken up in the next meeting scheduled for the 4th. But on the 2 other contentious issues, the penalty on stubble burning as well as the draft electricity law, the government seems to have agreed to roll it back, in the words of the Agriculture Minister and some of the farmer leaders that you just saw there. Now, after several incidents of telecom towers being vandalized in Punjab, Reliance Jio has written to the state's Chief Minister Amrinder Singh as well as the Director General of Police. The letter, which seeks intervention in the matter, alleges that the local police is not taking action against vandals or filing FIRs. The letter states that employees are not being allowed to work and essential telecom services in the state are being disrupted. The Finance Minister of Punjab has condemned the incidents of vandalism and said they will not be tolerated. Prime Minister Modi and Defence Minister Rajnath Singh have also issued a stern condemnation.
The villages themselves are very aware, and they have formed committees guarding these telecom property. We are also aware that this could lead to a very serious situation. It could lead to a blackout. We have our board exams for our children coming up. We have our professionals who work out of home, and we can't afford this. And no government can afford it, and no government can tolerate this. Kisan unions themselves have disassociated themselves from these vandals. And at a social level, I mean, this is not the Punjabi character, and this is not the character of the farmers of Punjab.
ये मानसिकता देश के इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर को, देश की संपत्ति को नुकसान पहुंचाने की है। हमें याद रखना चाहिए कि इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, ये संपत्ति किसी नेता की, किसी दल की, किसी सरकार की नहीं है। ये संपत्ति देश की है, ये संपत्ति आपकी है, देश के नागरिकों की है। इसको लगने वाली हर चोट देश के गरीब, देश के सामान्य जन को चोट है।
मैं समझता हूं कि इस पर हमारे पंजाब के किसान भाइयों को विचार करना चाहिए कि यदि किसी के द्वारा यह तोड़फोड़ की जा रही है तो तोड़फोड़ का सिलसिला बंद होना चाहिए।
Well, that is the latest on the situation with the farmer protests. Some movement, some forward movement, and now next round of meetings scheduled for the 4th of January. Time for us to head into a break, but up next, the Maharashtra government has handed massive cuts to its license fee to help restaurants stay afloat. Will that help? A special report when we return. Let's take a look at the other headlines that we're tracking. 104 retired Indian bureaucrats write to Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath voicing concerns over the anti-love jihad law, citing specific cases where the law has been misused. UP's Deputy Chief Minister Keshav Prasad Maurya calls the letter the handiwork of the anti-Modi gang. Members of Parliament from the Trinamool Congress write to President Ramnath Kovind seeking the removal of West Bengal Governor Jagdeep Dhankar. Their memorandum says the governor has been indulging in divisive politics because ruling parties at the centre and state are political opponents.